I'm going to save you so much time. I'm going to save you so many brain cells. Subscribe right now, or your brain is going to feel like a heap of knotted up fishing line in that corner over there, and you will know only heartache. Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to install the Vikingbags saddlebags on the Sportster. I like the soft saddlebag look. Okay, it looks more natural to me. I just dig that look. But the problem is you can't lock and secure your saddlebags when you just have a soft throw over type saddlebag. I said I would never do this. I think hard saddlebags are ugly and mechanical looking. The bags we're installing today keep with that soft leather and strap closure look that I appreciate so much. And at the same time, they provide locking security, storage functionality, and a beautifully styled soft leather look. I've already installed these just in practice so that I can make this a clean, concise video for you guys and get the cleanest look on your installation. So then what comes in the box? Well, you get this very large box with a divider in it for each saddlebag. The saddlebags are covered in the bag like this, so they are packaged very well to protect protectively. There's some bubble wrap in there to make sure things don't jump around too much. You get an arrangement of Allen bolt, flat washers, springs, and the corresponding nuts to the bolts. Now you do have to use a taillight relocation kit, which I installed last week, and you can check that video out here in preparation to do the install. In this box there are no instructions. In this box there are no parts lists. So you get what you get and you figure it out from there. With a Google search, I was able to find similar guideline instructions for Vikingbags. They were for the lamellar bag. I'm not sure I'm saying that right, but they were for a different bag, but mostly the install is similar. It's not the same, it's similar, but it can give you a direction and kind of give you an idea of what's going on if you haven't watched this whole video, which I suggest you do because it's way better than the directions. That instruction guideline set is located at manualzz.com. Well, like I said, I just did a Google search for Vikingbag install instructions. That set of instructions is for the lamellar bags, which are similar to the Boulder XL, but not the same. Can give you some idea. In those instructions, it clearly states, do not attempt to use these saddlebags if the mounting instructions are unclear. I'll tell you, they are very vague. The instructions I was able to find, which again are not for the Boulder XL, they're for the lamellar, are very vague. They don't precisely tell you anything. The instructions go on to say, it is important to seek professional assistance from a qualified mechanic or dealer. Okay, I'm not a mechanic, I'm not a dealer, I'm not an attorney. But what this basically means is Vikingbags will not be held responsible if you fail to properly secure these bags to your motorcycle in a way that prevents your happy skipping down the pavement causing death and dismemberment due to the improper installation of these bags causing damage to your ride. For safety, make sure that there are no clearance issues with mounting these bags to your motorcycle. Make sure that the bolts that you use to secure these bags to your fender strut do not protrude into the fender well so that they will touch your tire, causing your tire to be damaged. Again, it is imperative to make sure that the bolts that you use do not intrude too far into the fender well and potentially cause damage. You don't want to have a blowout going 80 miles an hour down the road. All that being said, let's get started. We're going to pre-install one set of the frames to the mount, to the rear fender strut. so that we can take accurate markings. This is going to save you a lot of time and a lot of heartache. Get this mounted the way you want it, then mark your early holes. Ensure that it is able to bolt through where you want to bolt it through, or you may have to adjust the height. You may have to adjust the placement of the bag in order to make it work with the bag. If when moving your taillights, you remove the stems that hold these taillights from here, then you're good to go. If this is not in there, you do not need to remove this bolt. Okay? It's after a lot of trial and error. If we mount this piece here, you will not have a clean mount. Okay? The washers are going to stick out of the backside. You're going to have interference problems with the hardware, the locking hardware of the bag. So what I found worked best was we're going to mount this through the rear stem. We're going to mount this one through the front fender strut bolt. Okay, now you'll notice here that these are different depths. The kit supplies you with different size washers. And we're not trying to crank this down with this one. Okay, I want this to be snug, these joints to be snug. So, you're going to paint or use some kind of transfer chemical of some kind, chalk, Sharpie, something. Paint this with it. Find the level you want these at. Press these bags up against it. And if those holes allow you to install the hardware. Once you have clearly marked your holes and cut them, once you are sure where you want your bags to go, height, position, your clearance issues are taken care of, and you've marked your holes, you've cut your holes, I went ahead and, you can see here, I went ahead and taped my washers on. That's just so I don't have to fiddle with them while I'm trying to install all the other hardware. But what you're going to do is you're going to transfer these holes to the other side. And what you'll do in order to do that is to line them up. Now I do already have hardware mounted to this side because I've already done the install. But you're going to open up these bags, line them up the best you can. Okay, without any hardware in there, I just don't want to take the hardware off. Okay, but you're going to line them up the best you can. Make sure that the sides match, everything is level so that they go straight on the bag. Then you are going to reach through with some kind of marker. I have this chalk stone, which I did, and I also used this pick, and I kind of rubbed out that hole so I'd have the hole, you know, and I could find the center of the hole. So you just reach in through the holes, go into the other side, mark your area, scratch it out however you're doing it on all 4 holes. Then you get the transfer pattern and you drill your holes there. So as long as you've lined these up, and I suggest putting some kind of clamping device to hold them together and in the same place while you're marking your holes, because you don't want it to move around while you're marking your holes. Mark your holes, then you can drill your holes on the other side, and we will move on to the next step, which is to install the hardware. So again, you're going to, I suggest that you paper tape your washers on the outside of your bag. You're going to need, 4 washers on the inside, 2 washers on the outside. So washer through. We're going to take the bolt. We'll probably have to thread this. Again, this is a 3/8 inch hole, and you'll probably have to thread it. It'll be tight. Okay, so now that's coming through. There. Get my other bolt. These are the 3/8 inch bolt, the larger of the bolts in your kit. At this point, we want this longer piece to protrude out at the top holes. Okay, so now we have our frame pre-installed to the bag. We're going to go ahead and do that on the other bag. Now we're going to move on to installing the bags. We need the 2 bolts that we're going to use through these holes. We need the washers that we are also going to use through these holes. And then we need, for this particular one, you may need the thinner spacer washer, but this one, again, like when we pre-installed the frame, we need the thicker spacer washer. The reason I have this tied up here is just because I've got it hinged on this back nut here, or bolt, and I just don't want it to lay down and cause any damage. So it just prevents it from falling back too far. Okay, so we've threaded that bolt through. Okay, so a few things here. I have put a paint stir stick in here, or something to prop this open, so when you're fiddling with this lid doesn't close on you. I'm doing this by myself, so this prevents the lid from closing on you while you're trying to reach in there and manipulate the bolts. You reach in here and get a few threads on this front attachment, on this front bolt. Again, we have our bolt here. We have the bolt that the flat washer that we slightly bent here to make room for this acorn nut or cap nut on this locking device. And then we also have our washers, you can see they're taped on the inside, so that when we're trying to put all this together, they don't slide and fall out. Okay, so again, the first thing you want to do is you want to get this bolt, just a few threads in there, so that you can come back here to this bolt. Don't forget your spacer. There's just not a lot of room for your hands in here. Get your spacer in there so it'll hold the bag parallel. We're going to reach up here and try to get just a few threads on this bolt. Once we've got a few threads on this bolt, then all we got to do is tighten it down. But you may have to manipulate the bolt, press on it, lift the bag, get it just right to get just one thread through. Okay, so now we got a few threads on each bolt, and we should be able to get a wrench on that 1/2 inch bolt in the back. And begin to tighten it down. Get that good and tight. Then we're going to reach up here to this front nut. Again, we have just a few threads on it. Okay, we got our wrench on the front nut, and we're going to start tightening it down. Okay, so now we have one side on. Okay, everybody, I'm not going to lie, this is not an easy install. The other side was a little bit smoother, but this side, on the kickstand side, I had a lot more trouble fighting with the bag and gravity, basically, because you have to just barely get a thread on to these bolts in order to get them in place, and then you crank them down. But if you have too many threads, then you're gonna on the bolts, and it's just easy to get them in, then it's gonna stick out into the fender well too far. So I'll be honest, I did on this bolt right here. This bolt I got from Napa. I didn't have to use the same length bolt on the other side, but on this side, because of fighting the weight of the bag, gravity, and I'm the only one putting it on there. Now, if you got another set of hands, you might be able to use the regular piece, because just get one thread on there and then start cranking it down. But I was not able to get this bolt through these holes enough to get one thread on it. So I have a few threads showing in the inside of the fender well, but it clears the wheel fine. So I'm not too concerned about that. But like I said, it's not an easy install, guys. It's not an easy install. The kickstand side of the bike is much more difficult, in my opinion, than the other side of the bike, but it's on there. And you can see they are mounted square. They're level. They're flush with each other. So that's what you want. That's what you want in your install. My final thoughts on this install. These are beautiful bags. They have plenty of space inside of them. They're designed really well. And if you have big hands, that's probably going to complicate things. If you have tiny hands, it might be a little bit easier for you to get in there and get that nut on that bolt in the back of it. Just a little bit easier. But then again, you're going to have to use a lot of strength. And I suggest having a second set of hands to help you get this bag square so that you can just get one thread, just one thread on that nut when you're pushing it through. Okay, because if you can get just one thread, and get that other one, just one thread on there, you're good to go, because then all you got to do is tighten it down. But if you can't get that nut, if you can't get that bolt pressed through hard enough to just get one thread, and you don't have enough room to manipulate, you know, turn that nut back there, get it on the bolt and just turn it onto one thread, that can be pretty challenging. That can be pretty trying and pretty challenging. I hope you watched this whole video. I hope I've taken out as many steps and difficulties that I've seen with other people installing these bags, so that all you got to do is follow the plan and you should be good to go. But again, like I said, trying to get those nuts on that backside in the fender is not easy. And there's not much room to reach up underneath these bags to position yourself to get that thread either. So I strongly suggest a second set of hands if possible to help. I don't know, put down in the comments, what do you think? I'll be back next week with another video, ride, or something. If you haven't already, subscribe and hit that bell notification. Give me a like on this video because it really helps with the algorithm, and I would so appreciate that. Till next time, guys, keep your swerve tight and get out and ride.